In is brought to you by our stable of sponsors. Hello and a very warm welcome to Weigh In, your Monday night fix of all things racing review. And we've got a fantastic show lined up for you. We've got Group 1 action, of course, coming in from Trentham. And it really was a weekend all about the girls. We'll have a little look into that later on. We do have a guest on the show this week. Butch Castles joins us, known to us as Butch. It's fantastic to have you here and looking forward to getting into some content later on.
Yeah, it's great to be here, Emily. Look, brings back old memories, really, getting up early of a Sunday morning out of Hawke's Bay, and before that when I was at Ellerslie coming into the studio. A bit different though, we haven't got the nice couches of the past. We've got a bit of a high chair, but
well, you're probably
nice to be here.
Probably not hungover either, Butch.
No, it wasn't all. No, sometimes I was, but that was more radio days. We won't go there, Michael. Thank you.
We won't.
Michael has a voice this week, so we've always got that to put
is that a good or a bad thing?
It's bad if you mean.
Now's the time to mute your television. But you talk about obviously the wonderful scenes out of Trentham. What a historic family event. I mean, I still haven't been able to prove this is true, but I'm pretty darn sure this is the first time a Group 1's been won by a female trainer who is the mother of the jockey who won the race, whether that was a male jockey or a female jockey. Happened a few times with male trainers in the past, but remarkable for Leanne Elliot and for Ryan, for both getting their Group 1s and the whole family's involved. It was quite emotional actually watching it all unfold, and then we came north where once again the girls dominated up here too with Jenna Mahoney and Jasmine Fawcett. So about time we had some females on the show apart from you, Emily. You got some company tonight.
I sure have. The women go the girls, that's for sure. And it was a fairy tale story, wasn't it? Rock on Wood taking out the Ridges Captain Cook Stakes.
Hypnos Flying Sardine, then time's ticking, Monakia behind them, Rock on Wood, Concert Hall, Beefeater as they jam up, Amy's Jewel's going to come to the outside and then Awesome Out, Deerfield down to the 400, in front, Hypnos on the outside, a length away, a length and a half, maybe Deerfield kick, but Hypnos knuckling down, here's Rock on Wood coming now, and Concert Hall right down the outside, Deerfield and Hypnos, little between them, Rock on Wood's got him now, here he is shooting for his Group 1 glory, Rock on Wood, Concert Hall, flying the last little bit, but he's home and deserving the Group 1, Rock on Wood, way too good, second over Concert Hall, to no third.
We knew that he had the ability to be able to do something like that, to get that Group 1 success. He'd been knocking on the door for so long, and so to see him do it, no doubt relief and joy by connections. You can see that through Leanne Elliott's celebration over the line. And as we highlighted earlier on, a fantastic family success, of course, with the Elliots involved. We've got Leanne Elliot on the phone, and we're really privileged to have her joining us this evening. And Leanne, first of all, a massive congratulations, and tell us, how has your boy pulled up?
Hi, Emily. No, he's pulled up really well, and look, come through it really. I'm quite pleased the way he's come through it. Yes.
Tell me a bit about your emotions through the running of the race. What were you thinking? He ended up quite wide, didn't he? But what were your emotions like?
I was thinking, oh no, he's 3 wide. He's got no cover. And I was thinking, oh gosh, but and then when he let down the straight, that was pretty awesome. Yeah.
And of course, we have to ask, what about the celebration afterwards? Did you get to enjoy the win with the family? What does a celebration look like in the Elliott household?
Well, we go back to Mum's and we settle the horses in, and then we go over to the house and we have a little celebration there.
You know Rock on Wood pretty well, and you spend a lot of time with it, and I'm sure he's more than just a racehorse in the stable. What's he like? What's his personality like, and how important is he to you?
He's really important. He's a good horse to have around. When you get there in the morning, he's waiting for you. He loves to work. He comes in. He's no bother, and it doesn't matter if we go to the beach or the track. He's happy. Yeah.
Did he get a few extra carrots on Saturday night after that effort?
Well, he doesn't actually like carrots.
Does he have another treat he likes?
No, he'll have the odd one, but he's not. He's a little bit picky about his carrots, yeah.
Tell me about how you ended up owning the horse. I know he was purchased out of the New Zealand bloodstock sale, but tell me a little bit about how it all came together and maybe what you first noticed about him, if you were there when he was bought.
Yes, Mum and I went up to the sales. Dad sent us up there to buy a couple of nice horses, he said. So off we went, and we had a few marked out, and we'd been looking at, we're looking at the horses, and he just had a very nice look about him. He walked, his walk, his just his stature, yeah. He was probably a little bit on the small side, so we followed him in, and yeah, Mum likes to bid, so she waited till nearly the end, and then she put a bid in.
Leanne, thank you for joining us tonight. What do you do with him next? Because obviously you've got options at a mile and 2,000 metres. He's the second favourite for the Zabir on Boxing Day at Ellerslie. Will he be coming north to join us up here?
Well, it is a possibility. I mean, it is a weight for age that's quite attractive, and so I'm just going to see how he comes through this week, and I don't have to make a decision quite yet, so that's good.
Leanne, Butch Castles here. Look, congratulations Saturday, a Group 1 win that was always going to come. Look, from a selfish point of view, hopefully you remember those Herbie Dyke nominations tomorrow, and we see him come to Te Rapa on the 13th of February and look to grab New Zealand's richest weight for age Group 1. He probably should have won it last year.
Yes, the nominations tomorrow, and I haven't forgotten Butch.
Hey, Leanne, just talk to us about the emotions not only of being a horse trainer but being a mother when Ryan was able to achieve this, because your achievement and the family's achievement is huge, but it must be that much more special having your boy riding the winner.
Oh, yes, it is so wonderful, and he any race he rides in, we're all really supportive, and I love to see him winning. Yeah, and to get a Group 1, that's been a big goal for a while, I know.
Now, Leanne, since we don't often get to talk to you very often on television, we have a question we all want to know the answer to. What was Ryan like as a kid? Was he a nice kid, or was he a pest like so many jockeys are when they're growing up?
No, it wasn't too bad. He loved to ride, and he loved to jump, and he would ride just about everything, and we'd go to the shows and he'd be riding other people's horses. He wanted to take every horse we had. Yeah, he just wanted to ride.
Now, you said he loved to jump horses. I can understand where that comes from. A lot of people who don't know much about your history, Leanne, might have forgotten that, of course, you rode the Grand National winner here in New Zealand. I believe you might have ridden one in Australia. You had quite a storied career over the jumps. That must have been quite rare back then, particularly for a female rider, because even now we don't have many females over the jumps.
No, there was Sue Thompson. She was the main. She was there when I started, and then came along Tina, Michelle, Nikki. We all rode together. So that was really good.
What's more nerve-wracking, riding a horse at full speed over the jumps, or saddling up a horse as good as Rock on Wood and sending him out for a Group 1?
I think that's quite nervous, yes. saddling up your horse for a Group 1, that is very nerve-wracking, yep.
Leanne, it's just been awesome to have you on the show this week, and hopefully that Group 1 success has got the ball rolling with Rock on Wood, and we'll be catching up with you in the weeks and months to come. To all of you, just a massive well done and such a fairy tale story.
Thank you. Yes, it is. Thanks.
It's pretty emotional stuff, Butch. Like, you've got a great knowledge of the history of New Zealand racing, and I rang one of the other guys who has too in Stretch, because Stretch is so good with this sort of stuff. I couldn't find a mother-jockey combination who won a Group 1. Have you ever heard of that before?
No, I haven't. And look, he's just a proper horse, Rock on Wood. I'll never forget a day on Little Avondale Lowland Stakes Day coming up 2 years ago. He ran a rating race, the last race on the card. If you get a chance to go back and have a look at it, he was phenomenal that day. Yeah. And they weren't doing what he did. And look, he's been a Group 1 winner in waiting for some time now. And I think it was fantastic that it happened at Trentham, just down the road from where the family are, sort of home base. Ryan to win his first Group 1 for Mum. All of those things come together on the day and look, really special. But there's not that many mums that are training Group 1 horses for their kids to ride.
No, there's not. I went back to the numbers. I couldn't think of many female trainers who had sons or daughters who were jockeys, let alone at Group 1 level.
Annabelle Johnson.
Yep, but one of the few ones. And just talking about Ryan, he did struggle with his weight when he came back after COVID. And I said, well, what happened there? He said, I just ate too much, which is usually how it works.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of concerns that, maybe he might struggle to get below the 57s. He's happily riding at 55.5 now. And he said if the right filly came along, at a 54.5 somewhere, he would take that too. So he's got there by hard work, and I think he's getting a lot of respect from other jockeys in the jockeys room. So it's a really cool story, but I get the funny feeling it's by no means finished yet, this triumvirate of the whole family.
He's been pretty unlucky on Rock on Wood, as we talked about in a number of runs where really he should have won. But the way he rode him in the Captain Cook Stakes, even though he was wide, it was a no-panic ride. He had the horse in clear running and clear running then when it came to the straight. And ride your horse like it's the best in the race, and I think that was on Saturday a real testament to that, and that'll give him the confidence going forward to those other Group 1s.
He's probably lucky that Mum is the trainer, because there were, I think even he was quoted in the interview on Love Racing to say that he did a couple of Barry Crockers, I think was the word he used. So Mum stuck solid as she had to, and Ryan rewarded them with a really good win. Look, he rode it like the best horse in the race. Concert Hall was great in defeat. She come from a long way back. They weren't doing too much of that on the way the pattern was, but look, he's a serious horse. It's won 8 from 17, not many do it.
With Concert Hall, she'll come to the Zabeel, so you're hearing now that Concert Hall's favourite for the Zabeel. We've got a market for that for you as well. So Rock on Wood, as you heard from Leanne's 50-50. So Concert Hall's the favourite, and she is definitely heading there. Spoke to Roger James, so Rock on Wood potentially. Vadavar's definitely heading there because it's not on the noms for the Waikato Cup this Saturday, and in a twinkling we know it's heading there. Fiscal Fantasy had a gallop at Tarapa the other day, it's heading there as well. Who's not heading there? Hypnos, who's going to the paddock. So Hypnos heads to the paddock, he'll have a nice big break, and they'll set him for a target, maybe something like the Easter over the autumn period. I thought Deerfield was really good in third for a horse who probably is at a natural 1600 metre horse. And Amy's Jewel, once the track came up a slow, which probably didn't disadvantage the winner and the second horse, and then she got that far back, and the way the race panned out, she just had no chance. So it's a willing to forgive on her.
Just on that market, Prix de Fer is a bit of a watch, because I read today that likely to possibly head to New Year's Day to the Rich Hill Mile. So look, it's going to run on Saturday at Tarapa in the J-Swap Sprint. They've got options, but reading that there was a likelihood it may go New Year's Day. Well, so take it out.
It'd be a stretch to go 14 to 2002, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would, but look, Jamie can do most things at the moment.
Yeah. I think in a twinkling's the horse I've got for the Zabeel, so I definitely would take her out. I've got the funny feeling talking to Leanne today, and we do appreciate her coming on because she's a very shy lady, so she wasn't that keen about coming on television, but we talked around. I get the feeling she'll be there for the Zabeel.
Well, let's hope so.
Yeah,
because he'll add so much to the race.
Well, he raced in the Bone Crusher last year and ran 7th, and he had no luck. And I think now he's actually stronger, so they can make a little bit more luck with him, like we saw the other day. So
he was probably on the way down by the Bone Crusher.
Yep.
Like this, he's right on the way up, isn't he? Like that was his third run. Fourth run, you'd think he's going to be peaking.
And you get one win under the belt too, and you're sort of on the way up, aren't you, now?
Just with the Herbie Dyke, so that the noms close tomorrow. Do you have any in at this stage?
Look, there's a number in there. The Chosen One, Murray Baker's done his, so a lot of trainers do them early. He's in there. It'd be awesome to think. I know that Melody Bell, there's been talk in the media that she'll go Thorndon Mile into the Herbie Dyke. So, look, it is New Zealand's richest weight for age race, and that's through the great support of the Dyke family, the brothers, Stephen and Simon. They want to honour Herbie's legacy, and we've been able to keep it at 400,000. So, yep, noms tomorrow, and that's what we're looking forward to. But it'll be great. Melody Bell, if she could come. The race is under significant pressure for its Group 1 status. Like a number of New Zealand races, it's on a second warning. And I've worked really hard with Jamie, spoken to John Galvin, because if she can come, she really underwrites the race as far as its Group 1 status, because her international rating is so high. So hopefully we can get her there.
Surely she comes. If she's going Thorndon, she's not going to, you would think, go 3 weeks later to a 1600 at the Ohio, would you?
No, but I suppose things can happen with horses, can't they? Yes, the program is
who are the Chosen One? Gives you a lot of international rating points.
They'll be just covering bases with the Chosen One. Who knows whether it'll come, but it's in the nom, so that's a start.
Yep, sure is.
All right, let's move you along to the Wakefield Challenge Stakes, the Pete's Joinery Wakefield Challenge Stakes, and it was taken out by a pretty exciting galloper in Stormy.
And out into the centres, looking to run on. Brazen Blue, wider out and wider out. Silky Red Fox starting to come home pretty well, and Fonzaret is starting to pick a path as well. Here, Stormy, the short price favourite in front. Over on the outside of it, Fonzaret is starting to knuckle down. Stormy's finding, Fonzaret's trying, but Stormy's in front down to the line, and Cozy at the wire. He'll win again, Stormy, Fonzaret, and then we had...
Fonzaret was closing hard, but Stormy was just too good up the rail and was able to secure the win. And a really good performance for Westbury Stud Stallion and Telperion, who, of course, that was his first win as a stakes winner, so a really good result for them. Not Karaka Million eligible, but bred and raced by Jeff and Heather Nichols, who are based in Queensland. And I love the performance. When you looked at it from the eye, you thought, what a professional showing. But when you heard the interview with Lisa afterwards, she said, did a few things wrong, was a bit green at the crossing and sort of loafing around. So scary to think that this horse could then improve further with what we've seen.
Yeah, I spoke to Tony Pike tonight. So he goes to the paddock for a week because obviously he doesn't have a Karaka Million to be aiming at. He could potentially go to the Eclipse. That's obviously New Year's Day at Ellerslie. Even if they do go there, they have two options, Matamata or Taranaki, to get them to the Sire Stakes and the Sasima Diamond Stakes, I think it's called now. So those two at the back end of the season become the logical aims for him. And of course, we're hoping that Tony's Kufu, his maybe best 2-year-old, gets to hang out at either Boxing Day or New Year's Day as well. And that's going to be his Karaka Million horse if he's got one.
Yep, very exciting stuff. Let's move along to race number 2 from Trentham, which was Just Ask Me in a heart-stopping effort to win.
And then Dolcetto, Toro del Greco, brother one, and Just Ask Me is looking to thread the needle at the 300 metres. Tavish Court. Over on the outside of it here is Carsten River, and then Credit Manager and Toro del Greco starting to come home. Just Ask Me's got a lot of ground to make up. Toro del Greco's been spec'd at a price and got to the lead. Just Ask Me's about to sprout wings, and King Cougar the inside. Toro del Greco, Just Ask Me. Wow! What a finish! Did it again. Just Ask Me. Grab Toro del Greco.
I have to admit, when I was watching my replays back today, I was checking my racing book, wondering if I had the wrong colours. I couldn't believe this horse could win from the position it was. And reading a couple of articles with Alan Sharrock, and he's saying, I think I've underestimated this horse. I keep nominating him and not expecting much, and he keeps showing up. And it's lovely. Again, a super impressive performance.
Yeah, look, he couldn't win, could he, at the 200? Even at the 100, he couldn't win. Tony did get him early in the call. He's about to let go, and gee, when he did, he flattened out, and he wants to go a lot further than that. He's lost for early speed. He then attacks the line, in fact savages the line. He is an interesting horse. I know that they had a little bit of an offer on the table not long ago for not a lot of money, but it didn't quite work out, and now they've got him. He's raced well named, Just Ask Me, Tony Kemp, one of the owners, so that's why his name Just Ask Me, because Kempy knows most things. And I know that Alan's now thinking about a Queensland campaign with him next winter. He'll get up to 2,000 metres on breeding and type and the way he hits the line. He's a really, really good horse. And yeah, Alan's guessing a little bit at the moment. He was winning races on Thursday at 30 to 1, 20 to 1, 19 to 1. Emma chimed in with one at 24, so he's flying.
He is flying. His strike rate's absolutely outstanding. Just talking about that horse, you mentioned earlier about Rock on Wood having that moment where you saw him and you went, wow, 2 years ago. That was the one. I know it's an open handicap, so it's quite an exposed race, but that was a wow performance. Now, I spoke to Alan today, and he was looking forward to seeing you on television. But he said, look, we're going to give him the spell, and then we're going to come back as a rating 82, and we want to try and find the right race for him. That race might be the Easter. The Easter stacks up as a nice race for him because he's bred to get 2,000, as Butch said. So that might be his race, but I think there's a lot of trainers who'd be pretty darn keen to get to Queensland at some stage. They just want to get out of the country and they want to take some horses somewhere and try and win some money. So, yeah, he's on a rating 82. By the way, Tavi Mack, he's up to 102 now. He's in the noms and he's one of the favourites for the Telegraph. I said, are you going to go to the Telegraph? He said, I'm going to Awapuni on the 19th, which is Saturday week. He said, we're going to the 1400 there, group weight for age, $100,000 race. He said, we'll go there. If the horse isn't tired, we might freshen him up and go to the Telegraph with the hope that the track comes up wet or one or two of them fall by the wayside. So if you're looking at that market for the Telegraph, he is a chance, Tavi Mack, of being there, but he's going to head to Awapuni for what's going to be a really good race. Cool Sign Mav and the Mitigator also heading there December 19.
the first on the programme from Trentham. It started off with a bang with promising 3-year-old Invisible Spirit taking out the set weights and penalties over the 1400.
And then we've got him behind these runners is Maho, Invisible Spirit with a really nice kick and put up 3 lengths on them here. Vasawa out of the pack on the outside, running on. Gagliardi with it, then Wild Moose and Invisible Spirit in front and getting down inside the 100 metres. Vasawa out wide, Gagliardi, Wild Moose another effort on the inside, but she has stolen this with a brilliant ride here. And Invisible Spirit wins. Vasawa second, Wild Moose third, then Gagliardi.
This horse hadn't been seen since August. They gave him a real chance to mature, the son of Charm Spirit, and he's doing the job. And I know, sort of reading about what the Bennett Winner team are thinking, they're thinking he's still 6 months away, and they're really keen to give him time. So although he's nominated for some of those bigger races, the Levin Classic, the Derby, I think also, they're just going to sit down, I think, and have a little restock on what they're thinking and make a plan from how he pulled up. But from what we saw, another really impressive performance and a tidy record coming together.
Wouldn't be surprised to see him in the Levin Classic, but we've got a market for the Levin Classic, but God, it's a mess. It's just such a mess because so much racing over Christmas, which is going to impact a whole lot of horses, and then people are going to say, well, for example, Carmelas, we said this last week, do I want to go to Trentham, then come back for Karaka Classic Mile? So here's a horse who might end up in a race where you look at it now, it's $21. Half those horses may not turn up for the Levin Classic. That's been the case the last couple of years. Really tricky race to bet into. Lisa Allpress was just on a mad tear there on Saturday. She rode 4 winners again. She now heads alongside with Opie, the group enlisted for this season, 5 wins. She's had 27 wins at 129 rides. Her strike rate is 4.78. So the only person with a better strike rate is Opie, who's done a lot less riding, although Danielle's strike rate, considering her body of work this season, is nothing short of unbelievable. She's about the 4.8 range as well. But Lisa's just come back after a bit of a layoff, and she's in the Central Districts. You just go, what's she riding first as a punter, then work backwards from there.
So Saturday, Eulogy Day at Manawatu, she'll get the pick of most of the rides because most of the northern jockeys can't be there with our Waikato Cup Day. So she is dominant, you're right. The Benner Wynyard stable flying at the moment. They've got some really nice young horses that they're training. In that market, though, I'd be backing She's a Catch. I know that is the aim, the Group 1 aim for her, and I think after what we see that she'll do on Saturday, I reckon she'll be shorter than $8.
So she's in the Eulogy on Saturday?
She'll go to the Eulogy Saturday.
Okay.
And Lisa, I would suspect, will be riding after she rode her the other day.
You mentioned Lisa Allpress having 4 wins on the card. Well, in fact, 7 of the 9 races at Trentham were won by females, which, when you look across the ditch to our Australian companions, that would be, front page news of that. But it's just the quality of our female riding ranks is so strong. Jasmine Fawcett, Jenna Mahoney winning the stakes race at Ellerslie as well, which we'll get into later. But women were on top on Saturday.
But in Aussie, isn't it great to see Jamie Carr, Rachel King actually becoming serious contenders on Saturdays in Australia and getting the opportunities? They're getting chances that 5 years ago they just wouldn't have got, and they're capitalising.
Yeah.
I'm just talking about the female domination of the riding ranks down. The Leah Hemi rode 2 of them, including City Slicker. Great story for the Tylers. They spent 40 hours in a float over the last 5 days, going from the bottom of the South Island to Trentham and then coming back the other way. Here is City Slicker, a female horse as well. Leah seems to be very good at riding stays. She almost pulled off a Wellington Cup a couple of years ago. This horse, they were so happy with what it pulled off here at $40,000, they're going to go to a late nomination for the Auckland Cup. So the Auckland Cup, not the City of Auckland Cup, the actual Auckland Cup in March. So there's City Slicker. I spoke to Kelvin Tyler today. She said, look, we're pretty tired, but we're pretty stoked. And Butch, one of the things I think people probably underestimate in the last 5 years has been how successful South Island stables have been at Trentham. It's quite remarkable. Pittman's leading the way, Parsons' team, there's a whole bunch of others. Terry Ray might get involved at some stage. The South Island strike rate at those carnivals at Trentham is far more imposing than people would realise.
Yeah, and it's great to see that they have the confidence to do that. You know, those Tylers to travel all that way, rate their horse and get the prize is fantastic. I worked at Trentham when I was in short pants, 26, 7 years ago. And you always used to get a number of South Islanders come up and target races at Trentham. It's great because the north meets the south in the middle. But yeah, you're right, the Pitmans have done it really well over the last few years. And it's just wonderful to see that those people from way down south have the confidence to have a go.
A special nod as well to Sire Shocking, who of course stands at Rich Hill Stud. He sired the winner of the New Zealand Cup in Dragon Storm, and that was another one by him, City Slicker, doing a fabulous job in our staying ranks. Well, with Lisa Allpress's recent four-timer on Saturday, we thought it was timely to update you on the Jockeys Premiership. Danielle Johnson still a clear leader with 75 wins to her name and 374 starts. And what is Lisa Allpress? She's at 27 already with 129 rides. Craig Grylls having a fabulous season as well, and good to see Hazel Schofer there in the top four also.
And the big news on that list, apart from Lisa coming back and obviously going on a tear, is Cosi Asano, who's now obviously moved to the north, as we mentioned on the show last week, and he was able to get a major win straight out of the gates at Ellerslie on Saturday. And look, he's going to have some real opportunities. Look, you know, in the north, we've got a lot of really good senior riders, but he's arriving at a time when there's a lot of racing on, Butch. He's going to do a job.
Yeah, and he's come to learn from the best, hasn't he? It's clearly been identified. That's why he's come to learn from Lance. Unfortunately, soured a little bit by suspension on Saturday. I think he got 9 days, so he's not back till the 23rd of December after this Wednesday. But that'll allow him to ride track work with Lance, to watch videos, all of those things. And look, he'll only get better with that polish of the best.
And he rode with great confidence on Spring Heat. We'll look at that replay a little bit later on. We've got to get you to the Bone Crusher Stakes, the Mitchell family Bone Crusher Stakes, which was a little bit of an upset. Opalescence taking it out for Jenna Mahoney.
On the track, Jason Beltry, and with it also is Moana. 300 to go explosively. Leads by 2 from Opalescence, looking to hunt it down. Out wider next, Moana battling on with Jason Beltry. Further back then, Perfect Scenario. Explosively and tackled and headed by Opalescence. Opalescence in front, Jason Beltry's flying late. Opalescence is going to win the Bone Crusher though. Opalescence beat Jason Beltry third. Perfect Scenario explosively. Devotion in motion.
On a day of fairy tale stories, Ellerslie had one as well, a $1,000 purchase from Gavel House, and I think she's more than repaid connections. Jenna Mahoney, of course, in the ownership, as well as one of her staff, and Carl Brown. He took a 10% share. He works at the stable in the mornings after developing a pretty special relationship with her, and no doubt he's rubbing his hands together after that.
That's the best $100 he ever spent.
Yeah.
A week without morning teas and he's got a horse.
Yeah.
I spoke to Jenna tonight. She's obviously pretty stoked. The horse not eligible for Karaka, so it can't go to the Classic Mile. She's pretty keen to stick to 1400s at this stage. There's a 1400 Boxing Day and a 1400 New Year's Day, so she'll head there. And she said, look, later in the season, we think she might make a 1600 metre horse, but she's won $100,000, Butch, and that's good shopping.
Yeah, oh, look, it is. And look, she tracked the speed. I thought was really well ridden, explosively up from the 1200 at Te Rapa, where it won well, to the 14, set a pretty good tempo, tracked the speed and was unable to be run down. The two favourites, Moana and Jason Beltry, were looking after each other towards the tail of the field. I think got a bit of a bump. Jason Beltry, he's a good horse. He is a good horse. He is a really good horse. You know, I used to manage Leith and so we still get on extremely well and talk a lot, and I know he's got a big opinion of Jason Beltry, and he looks like a good horse, carries himself like a good horse. So, look, taking nothing away from the winner, I thought his run was really good. And Moana, though, what are we making of that? Gee, she was backed off the mat.
I thought it was, when I looked at it, I thought, gee, this horse is short for a maiden. Like, you're a maiden racing a horse. Opalescence has now won 4 races. So when you're a maiden racing a horse at level weights who's won 4 races, you need to have done something pretty darn special to be backed into 230.
But her form at Hawke's Bay Guineas was really good.
It was.
You know, like out of that, they didn't go and run 1-2, so you can understand it. But gee, she was
still short.
She was
Butch.
just smashed.
It's still short, 230. What a lot of people, I'll be honest about this because a lot of people don't understand how it works. When our bookies are trading in the last 5 minutes, they have no interest in what you're doing. If you're watching the show, they have no interest in what you're doing. Zero. It just runs off Betfair. It just runs off Betfair all the time. So if Betfair gets on a surge on a horse can go from $2 to $1.40. And people think, well, that's impossible, must be hundreds of thousands of dollars. Well, it's not. And it happened in the biggest race of the year. It happened in the Karaka Million last year. James McDonald was riding Play That Song, went from $1.95 to $1.40, and Opie rode the winner, Cool as a Bill, went to $20 on Betfair. Now, our bookies just follow that because they have to follow the trail of money to stay inside the market. So we see some crazy, crazy Saturday price changes via our bookmakers, which have absolutely nothing to do with logic. They have to do with algorithms and what the big syndicates overseas are betting. And often we're seeing those be really false. They're like false positives, and they happen all the time. And the Karaka winner was the best example of that. Moana's betting was earlier in the week, but again, the money chased her down. It chased her down, and once that price got to that, I watched this race and thought, not slagging the horse at all. I thought, this is ridiculous. No more ridiculous than Play That Song starting $1.45 in the Karaka Million.
Well, let's hope that she pulls up okay and she can go onwards and upwards from here. That, of course, is Moana. Let's get you on to Spring Heat. She was a really dominant winner. Talking of Kozi Asano, as we said, started off his Northern campaign in great fashion.
Rocket Fuel, and behind these, Pretty to See, Packing Rockstar, still about 5 lengths off them at the 150. Princess Rihanna, Spring Heat's coming after her strongly. Then follow getting out late, also Packing Rockstar, still there, Pretty to See. It's Spring Heat and Kozi Asano. Spring Heat won at second, Pretty to See in a photo with Princess Rihanna, then came Packing Rockstar, and behind those next is their way across.
Spoke to Lance O'Sullivan tonight. They've got 3 potential railway horses. They've got this horse, obviously, who's going to be in the railway. She's already in there. Summer Passages is 18th. And I worked out about 3 or 4 of these may not turn up. Now, that's the problem because Summer Passage is the 3rd favourite. And I thought most of these are going to turn up. So 18th is going to put it right on the cusp of getting in, and they've also got Princess Rihanna who sits at 15th, so it's more likely to get in. But Butch, when you look at that, with Levante having that real wow factor, Avantage, Julius being defending champion, that's a wicked railway.
Oh, it's an outstanding field, absolutely outstanding, as was the ride on Spring Heat. I reckon the new master would have been very happy with what he got from the South Island. He rode it picture perfect, that ride. He got right in the right spot, he then got off at the right time, and Betfair in running, betting at about the 200, there was only one you wanted to be on. It is the railway's always a great race, but that is a very good renewal because Levante is something special. We saw something quite incredible, I thought, at Counties, but with the depth in that race, she's going to need to be in the right spot at the right time because there is depth in the race.
Just talking about Lance and Scotty, Dragon Leap came home last night, so.
Okay.
Rehabbed, my apologies. I've said quarantined so many times this year. Rehabbed in Australia after having a bit of a setback in the spring, and Dragon Leap has arrived home and they'll be looking for a race. Again, you would think maybe an Easter type race for it here before it potentially heads back to Australia again. But that is really stoked to have him home.
Can't wait to see him back on track. The 5th on the card from Ellerslie was a win for Yatima. Stephen Marsh and Michael McNabb combining for the victory.
Now from Red KN, coming after them, Starzar, swords drawn, Yatima starting to warm up as well. Zaza Gabor closer in, down to the 150. It's Super Hoof, the leader, coming after Starzar, and here's Yatima. Yatima dropping in on them now, ranged up, took the lead, and Yatima will beat Super Hoof. 3rd over was Starzar from Swords Drawn. Sheriff was right.
A nice win for Tony Ryder's Milan Park, and another upset win on the programme actually, and a good performance, improved performance off what we saw at a last outing. And of course, what does that do to our City of Auckland Cup market? Well, we can have a little look and find out, because that's potentially where Yatima goes next, 41s into 14s. And Sauvignon Blanc at the top of the page, that's the one that's attracting the most attention for me off the back of that dazzling closing finish at Pukekohe.
The team will come to Saturday to Sky City Hamilton Waikato Cup. I text Stephen Marsh and asked that might be a nice thing to do, and that was the plan all along, runner on Saturday and come, so she'll come there. And then City of Auckland Cup, Sauvignon Blanc, you're right, was outstanding at Counties, held up at the wrong time, took good ground off in a twinkling, and if I was having a bet in the City of Auckland Cup right now, that's who I'd be backing.
Just on your team, I got 5 points for that, so it goes to a rating 84. She's 18th equal to get into the City of Auckland Cup, but the attrition with the stayers being what it is, you would think she'll be in that race, and of course she has a chance to upgrade again heading into the Waikato Cup this week. Just with the Waikato Cup, Just Amaze, will he start?
Yep,
So-
local.
so most of those horses you would expect to be there are going to be there?
Yeah, I think so. Clearly, In a Twinkling's going to stay the other way around after last year, and they've got a nice program. I think he goes to be all into that Sky City of Auckland Cup. What else is going to be there on Saturday? Yeah, Sauvignon Blanc. There's going to be a Sheriff will back up from Saturday.
What do you make of Sheriff? I can't quite find him at the moment. I can't find the right races for him, and when I think he's going to do something, he doesn't.
He's not a weight for age horse, in my opinion. I think that he was Saturday. He got a couple of bumps, and when they're carrying 61, 62, it can be tough. If there happened to be something in the Cup on this Saturday, and he was able to get in with the top weights 59 or 60, so he's going to be 58, 59. He's going to be 2 or 3 kilos less. With the right run, he can be in it. But yeah, it'll be a really good competitive race. Just Amaze will definitely be a chance. I know David would love to win the Cup again after last year. But Sauvignon Blanc's run.
Just on Saturday, I'm hearing basically capacity looking at 6,000 people at Te Rapa on Saturday.
Yeah, there might be a few more. We've stopped selling tickets. We've sold the GA tickets out. We've sold the garden party out. All the corporate areas are now sold out as well. So, look, I suppose you could get greedy and keep selling $20 general admission tickets, but the reality is you need to make sure that those people can get a drink, that they can get a bathroom, that they can have an experience, that they want to come back, that we've got the food, all of those things. So that's what we've decided to do, and hopefully the weather plays its part, and we're looking forward to a great day.
Yeah, certainly are. We're going to get you off to a break here on Weigh-In, and on the back of that, we take in the Beyond the Barriers Dunstan X Factor competition, where 34 off-the-track thoroughbreds competed for the grand prize.
Well, and also we're going to talk about some of the great females in racing. Here's one of them on Saturday. Here is Emily Bosson having a day out on the pony. I think
this is not a thoroughbred.
I think they say you have a nice seat, Emily, for what it's worth.
Today's weigh-in is brought to you by our stable of sponsors.
Congratulations on the win, that's so cool. Tell me a little bit about the competition and what classes you did and how it went.
I was competing in the show jumping, the pace and mannered and the dressage.
And did pretty well in all of those?
Yeah, he won the dressage and the pace and mannered and second in the show jumping.
Tell me about your relationship with this horse. He's for racing people, he's called the Ice Knight, isn't he?
I love him and his can-do attitude towards everything. He's just such a cool dude to be around, such a nice nature. I just love having him around.
How long have you had him?
Around 8 months.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you got him from the Nigel Tiley stable, is that right?
Yes, that's correct.
And they keep in touch with him and what he does?
Yeah, Kate Tiley, who used to own him, keeps in touch with us on a daily basis. She's pretty excited about his win, so.
And what's on the horizon for the next few months for the Ice Knight?
So he's going to compete at Puanui 3-day at the end of the year, and then we'll see how it goes from there.
What do you love about thoroughbreds?
I just love that you can get on them and they have this different feel to them that they want to do it, and when they get out there, it just feels different than other horses.
And what's your relationship been like with thoroughbreds? Is this your first?
No, I've ridden a few, and we've got a few more at home. We've got most thoroughbreds at our house.
And for eventing, they must be so handy, mustn't they?
Yeah, their athletic ability in the cross country is just something different.
And that's actually mum and daughter there, Danny Lodder and Scout Lodder. Scout's only 13. She was riding Nigel Tiley's horse in the Ice Knight. 34 off-the-track thoroughbreds showcasing how trainable they are. They had cowboy challenges, show jumping, high jump, freestyle. There was so much. It's so important, and it's only made possible, that competition, by the support of Dunstan, but also the massive work by Nikki Wallace and Gina Schick. It's a really fantastic thing. Anybody doing this with off-the-track thoroughbreds is working so hard.
Yeah, look, it's just so massively important to showcase those things, because our social licence licence depends on what happens with horses for their whole of life, and after racing to be able to show that there's a way to retrain them for these horses to have a future is just so important. And look, NZTR are doing some great work in that space. 1% of stake money, I think, from February, I think that's been announced or under consultation to go to a fund as to how they can help horses after their racing life. So that's fantastic to see 34 horses doing that, Thoroughbreds doing it.
You ride, obviously, Butch, and I don't, which is good for the horses. What's the hardest part about getting a horse from being a thoroughbred racehorse to calming down enough to do that? Do you have to totally retrain them and take them around the farm, or what happens there?
90% of the time, it's just as simple as their personalities are more than able to cope with the change. Some of them thrive under the conditions of being a riding horse, and you see them clerks of the course playing polo. A horse is such an adaptable creature, and thoroughbreds have so much ability to be able to fill a number of roles, and a competition like that just highlights it. They can jump. And those horses that were competing at that show, the 34, within 12 months off the track. So that just shows you, going to a competition like that's no different than going to a race meeting with a big crowd. It's just a different job, and they're showing their worth.
I know this might be a silly question, but are thoroughbreds very good jumpers compared with horses who are bred to jump? Like, the horses who jump the really high jumps?
Thoroughbreds can jump the really high jumps too. It's like yourself, you might be a really good sprinter and good at the high jump at athletics. It doesn't really make a difference on the breed, but obviously the horses that are bred to jump, they're a warm blood, then that's going to be their niche. But thoroughbreds show time and time again, even at the biggest stage, something like the Olympics and our top level eventing competitions and show jumping, that they can compete with the best of them.
Pretty amazing stuff. You're right about the social licence. I do worry when I hear potential talk about, if I buy a horse as a yearling, I'm responsible for it for life. That bothers me, because I'm like, that idea bothers me, because that's an awfully long time to be in a relationship with something, 29, 30 years. But I do understand the fact that it is.
It's not a monogamous one, Nick. You can have more than one.
When it doesn't talk back, it is. But I do honestly believe that we need to have a pathway. That's a wonderful pathway, but if we're breeding 5,000 horses a year, it's still hard to find homes for 5,000 horses. That's just a reality.
And that's what we're working towards, is making sure that it is a life plan, isn't it, with these horses?
Well, they're not all going to be in beyond the barriers, but I think what that shows is that there is an ability for these horses to do something else, and whether they're with a kid in a paddock out the back of somewhere not competing there, it just shows that potential's there. And I suppose, to Mick's point about what are they like, I suppose if they start as a good-natured horse from the racecourse, then they become good-natured at this as well, yeah? And all of these racehorses are so well educated that often it's a very easy transition. Talking about ambassadors, Werther and Pinghai Star made an opinion. What am I trying to say? An appearance. That's the one. An appearance at Trentham on Saturday. More evidence of what great, wonderful representations our top-line thoroughbreds can do. These two have come back from Hong Kong, and look at them parading there at Trentham, and great for people on track to be able to see and meet horses of this calibre. One thing I would love to see New Zealand do is we used to have one down at Cambridge, that Living Legends type place. I would love to have a Living Legends type place for both standard breeds and thoroughbreds to go hang out, because I reckon that's just magic. That's a sort of boys' trip away for the weekend. Let's go down and see. Well, Michael, you're getting on a bit. Perhaps when he retires, we can give him I'm not a legend, so I can't do it. I've got to get the knife in somewhere after that riding video. We unfortunately actually move on to some pretty sad news here on Weigh In, with the passing of trainer Michael Daley. Unfortunately suffered a stroke when riding track work back in October, and then complications followed, which led to his untimely passing. 28 years training some of his best gallopers, Turf Fire, who won 9, and then Turf Fire's son, who we see here in Don Carlo, also a top-line sprinter, and I know he'll be missed by plenty, and really sad, and thoughts and condolences with his family and friends. Yeah, tough time. South Island's such a
close-knit community down there. So Michael had been sick since that fall, obviously, and a few people who were close to him, like Kylie Williams, got to go say goodbye last week. And one of the other lovely people of Timaru Racing, Tyrrell Charles, is sick at the moment. She's had a really tough last couple of years. We featured that on Weigh-In last year when they won the New Zealand Cup, and such an amazing story. She's now back home with her family and out of hospital. So if you're a friend of hers, give her a call, give her a yak to say hello. But yeah, to all of our friends in the South Island, but of course in that Timaru, Washdyke area where the Great Farlap come from, we are thinking of you, because it's not a big racing community, but a very strong one.
Yeah, they've had a rotten run down there, haven't they? Yeah. You know, they've lost some really top people in the South Island, and they'll be doing it tough.
Yep.
Yeah, they sure will. We did hear during the week that Aegon has been nominated for the All-Star Mile, and we thought it would be fitting to catch up with Mark Chittick to have a chat about his sire, who passed away unfortunately this time last year in Sacred Falls. Mark, it must be a little bit bittersweet seeing such fantastic success of Sacred Falls progeny recently.
Yeah, well, it certainly is. You know, he was a big part of Waikato Stud and a big part of our lives. He was born and bred here. We were involved in the latter half of his racing career, which gave us huge thrills. And then for him to come back and to stud after his father O'Reilly had passed away, you know, like, it was just a full story and a cool story. But unfortunately, look, it was this time last year, and as we speak here on Wednesday the 2nd, it was actually the 1st of December that we actually lost him last year. So we're only a day out there, but so he was a huge part. He was part of the Waikato Stud legacy. But I think now with the way his progeny are going, it's like vindication. It's you were on the right track. It's just proving that we're on the right track, and we've still got a couple of years to go with him. We've still got fillies by him, etc., and his family and everything like that. So the legacy continues. It was just an early departure.
Watching some of his progeny winning big races, Aegon springs to the front of my mind. Is there a win that stands out for you as being particularly special by his progeny?
Probably Aegon, as you say, at this stage. The two runners being involved in the ownership of one of them, both been placed in the Golden Eagle. That was obviously a huge thrill. But Aegon in particular at this stage, because it was a mix of two long time Waikato Stud families. And look, I take my hat off to all of those guys and that own him, and Andrew Forsman being in the ownership and putting his money where his mouth is. And the Zamey family, I've had a long association with them, so look, it was really cool.
And you've got some exciting progeny yourself that you're involved with. Yeah,
as I say, well, we bred Ice Bath that ran second in the Golden Eagle, and then All Saints Eve that ran fourth, and it's only early days for her, for All Saints Eve. And Tommy Gold, who stakes placed and won as a 2-year-old. John O'Shea trains him, and he's just come back into work today, and he just keeps saying we're just heading in the right direction. Each step this horse just matures more, and so he's got a big future as well.
Today's weigh-in is brought to you by our stable of sponsors.
Bone Crusher responds to the whip, the roars of the crowd. He races up to our Waverley Star, 100 out. Bone Crusher, our Waverley Star, stride for stride, nothing in it. Our Waverley Star, the rails, Bone Crusher the outside, and Bone Crusher races into equine immortality. $1.5 million.
It never gets old, that replay, does it? Bone Crusher and that call, racing into equine immortality. And the reason we played that, not just because we had the Mitchell family Bone Crusher stakes, but also, Butch, because it is your favourite horse.
Yeah, he's my favourite horse, Bone Crusher, make no bones about that. He was special when I was falling in love with this industry, and that race in particular I can vividly remember it, a Saturday afternoon at home on the farm in Wetakura. We'd had a massive night in Hastings after the Hawke's Bay show, and I got on the bus, went home, got Mum to wake me up to watch the Cox Plate. And
lucky she did.
Yeah, look,
Butch,
it was
just doing some simple math here.
Yeah, I know,
You're
Michael.
the same age as me, which is 50, which means you were
16
16 when that happened, Butch.
Yeah, I know.
So you had a massive night playing dominoes or something?
Something like that, Michael,
Okay.
yes.
You were sleeping at 4 o'clock
I'm
in
sure
the
you were
afternoon.
doing much the same when you were 16.
In Greymouth, there was nothing else to do. It is funny how you have a horse who you fall in love with at that early age. It definitely helps. you're a lifer. You're like myself and Emily. You've been involved in this for life. You're now in a different role. You're in charge of a racing club. Is that a different role than it would have been 5 or 10 years ago, being in charge of a racing club? Because every racing club boss I talk to now is part property expert, or needs to be part property and banking expert.
Yeah, you're right. Look, it is, and that's why I left the Auckland Racing Club. The opportunity presented at Hawke's Bay to take on a CEO role, and Hawke's Bay was the right place for me to do that, because I grew up there, I went to school there, I knew people in the area, I knew people that I could ask to help, if you like, with things like that. I had a great friend in the area, Simon Tremaine, with a real estate company, and made a good friend in Daniel Moffat at Bailey's, and both of those guys were really helpful along that side of the business. But moving to the Waikato, yes, property is a big part of it, but I still believe that you need to have some focus on the racing side of it. It's the part that I love. I really look forward to a week like this, where noms tomorrow, making sure the race order's right, those sort of things. And maybe that's old school, maybe you don't need to be racing focused, but I still believe that to have a thorough understanding and a passion and a love for what you're doing makes a big difference.
There's been a lot of talk about racing change and centralisation, and there's been some talk about a greenfields project, so basically a new project in Waikato racing. Where does Te Rapa and in fact that entire project stand at the moment?
So I walked in, the day that I started was the day that Jacinda Ardern announced the lockdown. So very quickly we got about working from home, and then the board met. We were able to meet virtually, which was fantastic. But at the end of May we decided that we'd take a 12-month break from Thoroughbred Waikato discussions, because we needed to concentrate on the business of the Waikato Racing Club at Te Rapa, make sure that we had our ducks in a row, that we could weather the storm, so to speak, and play a huge part in bringing racing back. There you go. You are. This is Emily's writing show.
Emily's stitch-up show.
So the greenfields.
But let me finish. Yeah, but I think that we will re-engage with that. I think that there's a number of positives in the Waikato. The synthetic track is a huge one of those. Look, the greenfields that they talk of is a site from nowhere, and it requires the monies from the three venues, the Waipaha Racing, Te Rapa and Cambridge, to make it all happen. Now, whether that's financially viable, look, only time will tell when we get into the nuts and bolts of it again. But the concept of clubs working together, what they're looking to do here in Auckland, is absolutely fantastic. The concept of us working as three clubs as one has to be the way of the future. What that looks like, I'm not sure, but I do know that the three clubs will need to work together.
My concern, Butch, is moving racing from the centre of town. I've been involved in harness racing in Sydney and Melbourne where they've done it, and people think they'll still go, and they don't. That's what. Now, Te Rapa is close enough to town that people can go. There's 6,000 people going this week. They can have a drink. If they need to close some clubs in the Waikato, and I don't know the logistics of that, but if you move into the middle of nowhere, that doesn't work, and I've never seen anywhere it does work.
Yeah, that's a risky run, clearly. Look, but I suppose roading infrastructure's improved, there's trains that are going to be available, but yes, that's an example to show that is a risk. If you go from a populous area to a non-populous one, we struggle to get people to come to the races as it is, other than maybe these marquee days. So, yep, that's certainly one of the considerations that you'd have to put in.
You're well respected, and a lot of people seek your advice at NZTR level. And people like myself or people from other clubs seek your advice. If I gave you a Christmas present that you could wave a wand and have anything for New Zealand thoroughbred racing, anything realistic, what do we need to change or not change? What do we need to get better at? What do we need to do? Because you're a bloke who knows the ins and outs.
You know what I'm really scared about is the jockey situation. I really am worried that we haven't got enough jockeys. Saturday we've got 3 meetings. The South Island will be okay, they've got their own little infrastructure. The North, there'll be, I would suspect, big fields across some of the races, so a lot of the northern jockeys. And the CD will get the squeeze. There's not a huge jockey population in the central districts, and it worries me immensely that we have a suspension structure that's back to the 1960s, that when there were 35 jockeys in every jockey's room, and if someone was suspended for 3 weeks, 4 weeks, it didn't necessarily matter because there was someone else. So I think we have to approach that differently. Is that the biggest issue? Possibly not, but it is a real issue because it's something, and I don't know how to fix it. I think that we can try and get some people from overseas. We have to get an academy system or something in place to encourage young people, because there's a really good career that can be made by by locals. You know, Wiramu Pin has got his life back on track. It seems he's riding. He will earn a substantial amount of money in the next few years if he can stay on track, because there is a future there.
I've got a yes or a no question for you.
Yeah.
There's massive changes at the head of NZTR. They have a new board, and we believe Bruce Schuon may eventually join that new board. Is this the right board for what we need to do in the next 3 years?
So Bruce Schuon is now on the board.
Okay, so is it the right board?
Yes.
And that's as simple as that. Okay. Shall I call it a day there? You got your yes or no? I've got to keep these two under control, so I'm going to wrap it up while everyone's quiet. It's been wonderful to have your company. As always, fantastic to have Butch Castles on the show. And as always, we'll be back next week.
Thanks, Bridget.